We're joined here today by Webster University head coach Andrew Belsky to talk about the last 10 years of SLIAC men's golf. Thank you for joining us today, Coach.
Hi, Brian. Good to be here.
My first question for you is this past decade started with the championship from Blackburn College. A lot of that was because of an individual championship from Rob Jackson. What do you remember about Rob?
I remember that he hit the ball a long way, and I remember, at least for that conference championship, that was up at Timber Lakes up in Staunton. So it was also on their home course. So, I mean, I think he won by a fair amount that year. So I don't know that it was everything, but it had to have helped him out too.
Yeah, I'm sure it's always, that familiarity with the courses. I know the last couple of years we've tried to rotate them just to give the players a little bit, more of a championship kind of feel. My next question for you, Webster, this past decade, 6 titles. Is there anything that's been a consistent theme among those 6 championship teams that kind of links them together?
I mean, I think that we've actually seen an evolution of our team over the decade. And we won the 6 in there, but there was 3 of them right in the middle that were won by Spalding. And I know you'll probably ask me about some of their guys here later on, but they kind of push me to figure out new ways of recruiting and make me get to a better level of recruiting. So, I mean, it's been committed guys, trying to make our roster deeper, get the right players in, but we've just worked hard. That's probably the best thing. Is a long-winded answer, but we've been working hard the whole time.
And you touched upon that briefly there. My next question for you about having that deep roster. It's kind of a bit of oddity. You've had 5 individual SLIAC champions, but it's been 5 different players. That speaks to the depth of your roster because, a lot of times you'll see repeat, players of the year or repeat champions, but 5 with 5 different players. That's kind of unique. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it is unique, but also in golf, you've got a lot of strokes that are happening. I mean, that in baseball, if you hit a foul ball, they throw you another pitch. Well, golf, if you hit a foul ball, you got to re-tee, and it's another stroke on top of it. And so over the course of 54 holes, there's a lot that can happen. And to get guys that win consistently is very hard. The good news for us is that we all times that can win. You've seen this with 5 different champions.
Right. I next wanted to ask you about a couple of the Spalding guys. You mentioned them earlier. Anthony Irwin became the first Golden Eagle to win the SLIAC individual title back in 2013. What do you remember about his game?
I remember with Anthony that he was another guy. He hit it a long way, made a lot of putts. He was just consistent. He was a consistently good player. One of those guys that you'd never like to play against and you wish that you had on your roster at the time.
Moving on to Iowa Wesleyan, another school that kind of snuck, 2 individual titles in there during this past decade with Blake Mitchell and Kylie Miller. How about those 2 Tigers?
From what I can remember, they were both guys that were just consistent all the time. They were never in trouble. They were always just in play, and they could get around the golf course well. And they were just good, solid guys.
I wanted to specifically ask you about one of your golfers, Tyler Thorman. Finished in the top 3 at the SLIAC Championships 3 times during his career, including a title in 2016. What made him such a special player?
Tyler was one of those guys that he absolutely hated to lose. It didn't matter what you played him in, because he was also a member of the basketball team for a while here at Webster, but he hated to lose at anything that he did, whether it was on the basketball court, golf course. I'm sure if we'd have played checkers or tic-tac-toe, he'd have hated to lose. And so he was always intense and he was always driven. And I think that caused him to always be towards the top of everything that he did.
And then finally, Coach, what are some other players on this all-decade team that you just really enjoyed watching out on the course?
I mean, I think that there's guys that we've had up and down their careers that have been fun to be around, fun to watch. I mean, right now the guy that's leading the way for us is Will Hawker, and right behind him Zach Chesla, and we've got both of those guys that are out there tearing it up. And they're just both extremely good at what they do. They work hard, they have fun, and we're successful because of them and their commitment to what we're trying to do. You work back past then. I mean, you had a guy like Will Murphy, who's probably the best ball striker that I've ever had. And then we got onto the greens and we worked on our putting a little bit, but an incredible ball striker. And then you had a guy like Kyler Scott back at the beginning of the decade. That Kyler was incredibly competitive as well. Hated to lose at anything. He was just a guy that was good for all of his teammates to have around and see how hard he worked at stuff. So those are fun guys to have around, and they make my job special to do.
And it's been a special, last couple years, last 10 years for the Webster program for sure. So, Coach, thank you for joining us today, and we look forward to hopefully seeing you out on the course again soon.
Yep, thank you. Have a good day, Brian.